Mm-hmm.
A lot of communities of color utilize sport as a means to break cycles, right? If we're going to make it some type of way, we need to play a sport. Now, it's 2025. We know that that's not the only way,
No.
but it's still heavily relied upon. And with that, there are certain pressures, right? There's still a lot of stigma surrounding mental health as well. But I realized that there was a need here. Because when you just think about mental health in general, you take away the sports aspect of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just operating as a licensed clinical social worker, right? In that mental health capacity, we know that there's a need. But then you double down on that and you realize that our athletes are also in need as well. So from there, I founded Minds Matter, which is my nonprofit that's centered around providing these type of services, right? The sports social work services, working with teams, coaches, parents, right? Helping them to navigate just the sports world and what that looks like for whatever area or stage of play that their athlete is in, and just making sure that they are not just performing well, in their respective sport, but also just in life, right? In the classroom, in
Mm-hmm.
life, helping them to just navigate their own mental health and just drawing those connections too as to how mental health does help influence and enhance their sports performance. So, whereas like a sports psychologist may be centered or focused on like performing or enhancing their performance, as a sports social worker, we're looking at the total package. We're looking at the total well being of that individual, their family, coaches, teams, all of the different levels, from micro to meso to macro, right? Like we're looking at all the different levels that encompass an athlete's world and just trying to enhance that. So that's where Minds Matter came from a little bit down the road. Went on and got my doctorate degree. And
Mm-hmm.
then in that program, I focused on collegiate athletes and just making sure that there's relevant and how can I put it, relevant and also research driven assessments for collegiate athletes, making sure that there's empirical backing for use of these commonly used mental health assessments because that's important.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to just pick up anything just because we know it works, and just like the clinical world, we want to make sure that assessments have true backing for use with an athlete because an athlete is different, right? An athlete, when you think about what makes up an athlete, their mindset, how they revere themselves, how others revere them. A simple common assessment might not do it. Could it get you going? Probably, but we probably want to dig a little bit deeper. We probably want to go from a different perspective, look at problems at a different from a different purview, so that way they're more inclined to engage and not just come in with this is a problem, we have to fix this. Like when you think about an athlete, that might just they might just throw in the towel with that and be like, I know it's a problem, but I don't want to focus on just the problem
Mm-hmm.
right now. I got to still be healthy. I got to be functioning. But there's a way to work on problems and still bring in that strengths based perspective, if I may,
Mm-hmm.
and that positive psychology and helping them through whatever they may be dealing with. So I know that was a long answer, but that's how I got to where I am right now. During that doctoral program,
Mm-hmm.
definitely enhanced my understanding of sport and the athlete. Is one thing to, of course, be an athlete and play at the collegiate level and experience that, but I'll say I had a pleasant experience as a collegiate athlete, so there was still some learning and things that needed to be done, right, as far as like a scholastics perspective. So I didn't just jump right in and just say like, oh, I'm an athlete, I know what to do here, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
still had some learning and some understandings, especially from like a theoretical perspective, making sure that I understood how to go about helping individuals from a more structured and clinical perspective. So yeah, that's how I got here.